Alrighty, welcome to my Disneyland video. I'm gonna try my hardest to kind of keep on track, but I wanted to, before I actually go into the detail about what's going on in this video, I kind of wanted to give like a little synopsis about what this video is going to be about. First of all, I do want to say that everything you see in today's video was filmed in October 2022. So that's why you'll see a lot of the Halloween stuff in Disneyland and also in California Adventure. We also visited the La Brea Tar Pits during this vacation, but that vacation is actually not included in this video. I actually posted the video footage of that trip prior to posting this video. So I'll go ahead and either share the link down below, I'll share the link in the card during the video sometime, or I'll do a little bit of both of them. So that way you can go back and watch that video after you get to watching this video. Also wanted to give a shout out to my parents who are also on this trip. Mike and Pam from the channel Traveling with Mike and Pam. They were here on this trip. I'll go ahead and share a link to their video down or to their channel down below, so that way you can go check out some of their content that they do. I also have to apologize ahead of time because in some parts of this video it will be dark and hard to see what's being filmed. I wanted to apologize ahead of time for that. I was actually using a GoPro Hero 5 and I was not using any settings to be able to film in the dark. And I also was filming with a Canon EOS Rebel T5, and I was not using any dark light mode or anything like that when I was filming those videos. You'll see that throughout the video, and basically what's in those videos is, I was filming in the Haunted Mansion, and I was also filming in Pirates of the Caribbean, so it might be a little bit of a mix of both of those in there. This video also covers about 3 to 4 days of our trip. And I try to clump each day together as much as I possibly could. But even in those days, it's going to be a little random. It might be a little bit of a mix-up. It might seem like it's a little bit out of order. Like you might see a clip from Pirates of the Caribbean, then jump over to Splash Mountain, and then jump back over to Galaxy's Edge and stuff like that. So I apologize ahead of time for that. Also, in this video, I wanted to do a little bit of a recap on this trip, and also hit on my history of visiting the park and just talk about that. And I think towards the end of this video, I also wanted to talk about like some of the changes I want to see happen in this video. I also want to talk about I want to talk about like some of the things I would like to see changed in the park, because there are a lot of things that I would want to see changed based on my opinion. Other people may or may not agree with me on that, and that's perfectly fine and then perfectly okay. What I would like for you to do, you the viewer, when we get to that part of the video, talk about the stuff that I want to see updated, I want to go ahead and hear about what you think should be updated, whether you agree with me or not. And that's perfectly okay. Let's go ahead and keep it civil, and let's make this a fun conversation to have, Let's keep it on point and on track. Also, throughout the video, I'm going to throw in some random pictures and maybe a couple videos. I'm not sure if there's a couple videos that'll be in there. Something that maybe seem like a little bit random, like for example, a closed off or boarded up tunnel. Those are pictures that I will be adding into this video today. I'll go ahead and at least try to leave a caption about what that is, because it used to be part of like a different ride or something like that was part of Disneyland's history that is still there, that can still be seen. But there are plenty of other people out there who have talked about those rides. And if I actually lived closer to the parks, I probably would have gone into more detail about those. But you're able to, if you look up on YouTube, you're able to find stuff about the history of it. I'll go ahead and try to at least leave a caption on the said photo, just that way you can actually know what to look for, and then hopefully you can learn something from other videos that you see. All right, so now let's go ahead and get to the starting point of this video. As you can see, we are actually on the Grizzly River Wild Ride. I wanted to mention that when we were here, it probably broke down at least 3 or 4 times while we're on this ride at this particular time. This is the only time we were ever on that we can see that we are stuck here at the bottom of the hill, at one of the main hills. We're just stuck there. There's a nice little couple they said they were from South Korea, and they were nice. They spoke a little bit of English, so we talked with them a little bit. They were really there. This is they were saying that this is their first time in America. So I hope they had a good time, when they were here. And as I kind of want to go back towards the beginning of the video a little bit. So what had happened on this particular trip, The beginning of the video, you see it was a nighttime video. Anyways, that day, it was actually a Saturday. That was kind of, I guess you can say that was kind of the unofficial beginning to our vacation as a tiny little family. A family of 5. Because that day was a Saturday. I was at work that day. And I think I got off work around, I want to say around 3 o'clock that afternoon. And as soon as I got home, I took a shower. And we had all of our stuff packed away in our rental car already. So that way when I got home, I could just take a shower real quick. And then as soon as I was done, we were out the door. We drove from Orem, Utah, and drove all the way down to Las Vegas, Nevada. That's where that beginning video is. And you see at the very beginning, if you go back to the very beginning of the video, you'll see like a beam of light pointing directly up into the sky. Now, what that was that marked the 5-year anniversary of that horrible shootout that happened in Las Vegas in 2017, where that guy shot like automatic assault rifles from the Mandalay Bay Hotel onto the concert goers, into the country western concert. It was Jason Aldean who was performing. I forgot what the name of the concert was, but that marks the 5-year anniversary, because I didn't realize it, but that day we got to Las Vegas was exactly 5 years since that had happened. I remember I was filming. I was like, "What is that beam of light supposed to be?" I didn't know what that was, and that's what I found out later on. So then the next day, before we left Las Vegas, we wanted to go do the traditional, get your picture in front of the fabulous Las Vegas sign. That's what that was. And while we were there, we just took a couple random videos while we were just like sitting there in the car, just goofing around and just having some fun. And from Las Vegas to Anaheim is probably, I want to say about 6 hours maybe, from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, but that was also because we had to fight some traffic. And to separate our trip from Las Vegas to LA, I filmed a little bit of our hotel we were in with my son here with his uncle and his kids, so his cousins. They were just playing around. But this is actually our first day in California Adventure. Now, fun thing is, my wife and I, we've been to California Adventure once before on our honeymoon, but we only spent a few hours there because we wanted to hit up the main park. At that time, it was my wife's first time ever in California. It was her first time ever going to Disneyland or any theme park like that. And we wanted mostly to go to Disneyland that trip. But this time, we were able to spend some more time in Disneyland. We had a lot of fun. This is our very first time ever going on Grizzly River Wild Run, whatever. I think what it is, Grizzly Rapids Wild River Raft Ride or something like that. Actually, this is our very first time on it. We had a lot of fun. And you can see my daughter next to my wife, and she was a little nervous about it because it's a whole brand new world for 3 kids with special needs, And speaking of that, I wanted to bring that up. If you've been following my channel for any amount of time, you would have known that all 3 of our kids have special needs to a certain point, and various degrees. Disney actually has this really cool program that I found out about through Chris Provost and his channel, Provost Park Pass. I'm pretty sure he needs no introduction. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what his channel is. Shout out to Chris. Thank you for the help. But he had mentioned that Disney has this DOS Pass thing for people who have special needs to help get those families up to the front of the line. That helped us out a lot. And it was awesome. So we were able to do all that. Anyways, our second day was actually in Disneyland, and I felt like it was like second home, because when I was a teenager, we used to go there I used to go there all the time, every couple of years. Because at the time, my dad was working for Alaska Airlines, and my mom was a travel agent, so we had a lot of very good deals and discounts, and that made it possible for us to go every couple of years. And on the years when we did not go to Disneyland, this is before California Adventure actually ever existed, we would go down to Arizona and go visit my dad's family, because my dad is actually from Arizona, born and raised down in Arizona, so we have a lot of family down there still. And we would go down there, go visit his brothers and sisters. We would go visit my cousins, and it was just a lot of fun. So we went there, and it was really weird because the last time I was actually in Disneyland before this trip was in 2007, January 2007. So it was like a little over 15 years before all this footage was taken. And that was before Cars Land was even there. So when my wife and I went there in 2007, they had a Bugs Land there, a Bugs Life, and all that stuff was there. And it was taken down and and Cars Land was actually there. So this is our first time there. we had an absolute blast with that. Because my kids, they all love cars. And my boys, they both love the Incredibles. And last time my wife and I were there in California Adventure, this wasn't called the Incredicoaster at all. It was California Screaming still at the time. So they saw this, they could hear Dash's voice, and they just thought it was one of the most cool things ever. And they loved being able to see the roller coaster go by there. They didn't want to ride it because my 9-year-old was a little too small. He was a little too short to go. He was 7 at the time. And stuff like that makes them a little bit nervous. Like I said, special needs, stuff like that. It's a little hard for them to be able to do stuff like that. I also do have to say something else right now. Is when we were there, like in 2007, last time my wife and I were actually there was no Galaxy's Edge either. There's no Star Wars Land. And it was just like, I don't think there were any plans to be able to build anything Star Wars at the time. I don't even think that Disney owned any Star Wars property at the time. All it was just Star Tours. And I also have to say that on this trip, you will not see any Toontown footage at all. Because when we were there, Toontown was actually closed. Because at the time they were renovating it. It was sad because I remember when I was younger, I used to love going to Toontown. It was fun because I loved going on Gadget's Go Coaster when I was a kid. I was looking forward to going on that, but I forgot that Toontown was going to be closed while we were there. I loved Gadget's Go Coaster when I was younger because I loved Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. That was like one of my favorite Disney cartoons when I was a kid. I loved it. I was looking forward to doing something like that. And I was looking forward to doing something like that with my kids because my kids love Mickey and Minnie. They love Goofy. And they love all that stuff. But it's all good. They were able to see some of the characters that you'll be able to see throughout the video. They got to meet some of their favorite characters and talk to them for a couple minutes. We met Peter Pan and Wendy. And you'll see that towards the end of the video. It was just a blast. It was fun. My daughter at the time, she loved Frozen, so she was able to meet Queen Anna, because Frozen 2 had recently released before we went on this trip. So she was Queen Anna at the time, and my daughter got to meet her, and she was thrilled. You can see it on her face. I'll have the video. I'll have like some pictures of that later on in the video. So it was just so much fun to be able to have my family and my kids there for the very first time. It was, out of all the times that I have ever gone to Disneyland in my life, this trip, yeah, sure, was a little bit stressful because it takes a little bit longer for my kids to be able to get to do things. We're trying to keep up with everything. There's Spider-Man. That's another thing. Disney did not own Marvel at the last time I went to Disneyland. Now they do own Marvel. They have all the rights and stuff like that. So it was really fun to see all that. My son was excited to see Spider-Man. He loved it. So that was like all new for even me. I'm a huge Marvel nerd. I love the MCU. I think they're doing a great job. Well, give or take a few things after Endgame, But I still enjoy watching a lot of those shows. And my kids love Toy Story. They love going on this. They love Pixar Pier. My son right here, as you can see, he loved the Cars Land. He loved seeing Lightning McQueen in his Halloween costume. He just had so much fun with that. I loved it. It was so much fun. But like I was saying before, out of all the times I had ever actually been to Disneyland, as stressful as this trip could have been, having, I was freaked out about, not being able to keep track of my kids. Because this was my first time going to Disneyland with my own kids. It was hard to keep an eye out for them. But like I was saying, trying to get to the point, this is probably the most fun trip to Disneyland I ever had. It was just awesome. And then I think that the best part about going to Disneyland this trip, other than going on the rides, was being able to see how happy my kids were and how much fun they were having when we were there. That to me was the very best part. And now we are actually coming up to our second day at the parks, second full day at the parks. And it's our first day at Disneyland. Now to me, I have always been a fan of going to Tomorrowland. I always enjoy to see what other people perceived to be what's in our future. Like what I see, like I've always, when I was a kid, I remember being a huge fan of Back to the Future too, because I like to see what people think might happen in the future. And that's part of the reason why I like Tomorrowland so much. Because like I remember going there in like the mid to late 90s, and they had a Toy Story Funhouse that was there. I was like, oh, you know what if we actually in the future have stuff like living toys, like toys are there to be our friends, which some I guess you kind of got that going on somewhere too at some point, with some toys acting like they're alive, you know what I mean? It's just kind of fun. Alright, so now we are at the part of the video that I was talking about towards the beginning of the video, where I was talking about like I'm adding in pictures of former attractions that are random, and then I was trying to add some captions to them. I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to pause for my actual dialogue from what I was actually going to do on the video. I was going to deviate from that. I wanted to bring this up because I remember when I was a kid, whenever we would talk about like Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is actually one of my all-time favorite rides at Disneyland. I remember he would tell me about how slow the ride used to be. It used to be very, 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 very boring. My dad was born in July of 1957, so he was literally just barely, the theme park had just barely turned 2 years old by the time my dad was born. So the theme park is a little bit older than my dad, just barely. But I do remember when I was a kid, he was telling me about how slow and boring the ride used to be, and that they had like a major overhaul for it, and it's so much better nowadays than it was back then. And even now, it's better than I know it's still pretty much the same track layout as what it's been since 1977, 78, late 70s. They've even made some minor additions to the ride, even from when I was a kid. Like they added in some special effects, but it looked like there was like dynamite in there towards the end of the ride and stuff like that. And I think that's an amazing addition to that ride. So anyways, I want to get back to Tomorrowland. I was talking about how Tomorrowland, when I was growing up, Tomorrowland was my favorite area of Disney, and it always has been. And I like to see what people would think the future would be like. I've always been interested to see what people thought about that. We may all have differences of opinions about what the future may hold for us as a society, as a nation, as a country, as a people, as a species. But it's just always fun to see that. And even looking back to when Walt Disney was on, when he was still alive, how he perceived the future to be, and how much different it really is. I was talking about how when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of the Back to the Future Part 2, because I mostly wanted to see what people thought 2015 would really look like. And obviously it was a lot different in real life than it was in the movies. I always wanted to see what people thought the future would look like. And by the time we started going to Disneyland when I was a teenager, it was the People Mover had just closed, Skyway from Tomorrowland to Fantasyland and vice versa, that had just closed up, and they had just covered up those big old massive holes in the Matterhorn. And then, we started going there in 1996, so it was just barely right after those attractions had actually closed. And I know that they tried to revive the People Mover in, 2001, when they did the 1998 makeover of Tomorrowland. Honestly, I think they were kind of heading in the right direction. I know a lot of people might disagree with me with that, but that's perfectly fine. You don't have to agree with me, but this is just what I was thinking. I think the Rocket Roads is actually a pretty fun ride. I liked it. I went on it once or twice, but they had actually, everybody knows the history. Everybody who follows Disneyland and anything that has to do with Disneyland knows that the Rocket Rods were not open for too terribly long. The whole reason why it ended up closing is because I guess the technology was too modern for a track that was 30 plus years old at this point, and did a lot of physical damage on the Rocket Rods ride. And after 2001, here it is 20. At the time of this recording of this videos, it was 21 years. Now it's almost 25. It's been almost 25 years since Rocket Rods were even there. That's weird to think. I remember going on those like it was yesterday. that is something I want to see fixed or updated in the future. That's something I want to see reused or repurposed. I know it would be really costly and it would be really expensive, but I honestly do believe that Disney would be able to afford to make the necessary, either renovate that attraction and kind of use it as like a, I guess you could say as like a walkthrough attraction or of some sort. Yes, I'm talking about the people mover track. Obviously put barriers up so people don't fall, obviously. But I would like to see that track repurposed as something else. Either that or have the people mover track come back. And as a whole, come to think of it, because I know that would be very costly, at least take the track out from like the middle of Tomorrowland, but the tracks that go through the buildings, maybe repurpose those as something else inside the buildings, you know what I mean? Like even Star Tours, they have track going through there, repurpose that for something else. Maybe have like some of the characters from Star Wars walk through there or something like that. And honestly, since Tomorrowland was opened back in the 60s, we as a species have actually come a very long way. It's kind of the future's having a hard time keeping up with how much things have progressed. And thinking about that, what I mean by that is like with Tomorrowland, instead of it being like a land focused on the future, why not have Tomorrowland be like a museum for what we thought the future would be like? So kind of like go back to like what everybody thought the future would be, like kind of have like, the world used to think cars would look like this, and have like a little picture or something like that, or like a little you know what I mean, like have like one of the people mover cars. Sorry, my dog's in the background. Have like a people mover car just like on display, or maybe even one of the rocket rod machines. I know that they are still on display in various places, but why not use the Innoventions building, or the former Innoventions building, where they see America Sings and all that used to be. Use that whole entire complex, that whole entire building as like a museum of Tomorrowland, the Museum of Tomorrow, basically. That's just what I think it should be. Anyways, let me know down in the comment section what you believe that should be, because I'm interested to see and to hear and read what you say should happen there. And speaking of America Sings, it's funny that I started talking about that. I wasn't really watching the video as I was recording the dialogues. I had my mic when I was walking around my apartment with my mic, but Splash Mountain, that is part of the former America Sings attraction that used to be in Tomorrowland. And what I mean, like, I know Splash Mountain was on the opposite side of the park from Tomorrowland, but the animatronics from Splash Mountain were repurposed animatronics from America Sings. And now, as everybody knows, as any Disneyland fan knows, Splash Mountain is no longer there. Well, it is, but it's Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And when I had actually gotten this footage, the Disneyland one, the Anaheim one, was not yet announced to be closed. Only this ride in Orlando, Florida, was announced to have closed. At this point, they didn't know if they were going to close this one, or I didn't know, I should say. But I want to say, I do remember thinking like this may be the last time I ever go on Splash Mountain, because I know the one in Florida had closed, and I heard heavy rumors saying that this one in Anaheim was going to close, but I don't think anything was confirmed quite yet. But here's something I like to say. I don't know if they've already changed it, because I haven't been back to Disneyland since I made this video in 2022. So Tiana's Bayou Adventure was based off the movie The Princess and the Frog. Very good Disney movie. I like it. It's fun to watch. Really good. I haven't watched it in a few years myself, but with how close Critter Country and Splash Mountain is to New Orleans Square, why not change up the map a little bit? Now that it's Tiana's Bayou Adventure instead of Splash Mountain, why not include Tiana's Bayou Adventure as part of New Orleans Square and not part of Critter Country? Now, the time of this recording of this audio, it's Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. And like I said, I haven't been back to the park since I actually filmed all of this. So I don't know if they've already changed that or not. I have no idea if they've already changed it. So again, any of you Disney nerds, any of you fellow Disney nerds watching this video that go there constantly and know that, comment down below because I want to know, because I am very curious. Feel free to add into the conversation because I want to know for sure. And welcome to the backside of the water. All right, here we go. The guy clapping his hands right there, sitting down, clapping his hands. That's actually my dad. And that's my mom with the glasses right there. So that's my parents traveling with Mike and Pam. And my dad does a YouTube channel for them. My mom doesn't really do any of that. She takes pictures and posts on Facebook. That's just about it. But yeah, that's my dad sitting right there talking to the skipper. He's the one who does the YouTube channel for Traveling with Mike and Pam. That's my dad, Mike. He's the one I was telling you about, who's actually just a couple years younger than the theme park itself. I'll go ahead and add in the link to his video down below, and I'll more than likely add in a card at some point, so that way people can just easily click on it and then go to his channel. Obviously, after you watch this video, go watch out some of his content. Go watch some of his content. I don't remember if he's added any Disneyland stuff. I know he's added Disney World stuff to his channel before, so go ahead and go check out his channel. Really fun stuff. Usually his channel kind of caters to like the retired generation, where a lot of people go on cruises and stuff like that. He just got back from a cruise from Holland America Line. He just posted a couple videos there. So go show him some love. Go give him a shout out. Go say, hey, Chris the Shiny Dog sent me here. Want to watch some more of your stuff? Yeah, go check out his channel. So it's a lot of really fun stuff. I know I'm kind of blabbering on, but I'm just kind of filling up time. Alright, so I'm just doing a little bit of foreshadowing. I skipped ahead a little bit to see what else is added onto the video here coming up. And you're going to see some footage of the Haunted Mansion coming up. And that was actually, like I said, it was filmed in October of 2022, right? Close to the time. It was like right after they started doing the holiday overlay. Last time I had actually gone on the Haunted Mansion pre-holiday overlay was, I want to say early... about 2001, 2002 was the last time I actually did that. I know, long time, I know, but Haunted Mansion is one of my favorite rides. I loved it. Even with the Christmas overlay, it was still kind of fun to see. And like I said, and also another thing is, like I said at the very beginning of the video, I was using a Canon EOS Rebel T5 DSLR camera and a GoPro Hero 5 Black. At the time, I wasn't aware that there were if there would be any low light filming settings at all. So when I was there filming it, when I was looking through the screen of my DSLR, everything looked like it was coming out just fine. And when I would look at this little screen of my camera, everything looked like it was coming out just fine. But I was also not looking at everything through the lens or through the screen or anything like that, because I was focusing more, and I actually was going all around. And I apologize for the poor film quality when it comes to something like that, and that's why it's all shaky. As you can see right now in the video, I mean, I wanted to try to film as much as I possibly could, and I thought the light was coming out fine in some parts, and other parts it's just way too dark to see anything. So that's the thing, and that's another thing too. The Hatbox Ghost. Last time I was in Disneyland, the last time I rode the Haunted Mansion, the Hatbox Ghost was not there. So I was excited to see that, and I was excited to see other YouTubers post about that, because they brought up a good point. That's another thing I wanted to bring up, because I remember as a kid going through the main gates and going when you go through the main gates of the park and you go walk through the tunnel underneath where the Disneyland Railroad is. I remember seeing a Haunted Mansion poster, and I remember seeing the Hatbox Ghost on there. And I didn't really think much about it at the time. I just remember seeing, there's this thing, but probably has been taken out. It probably used to be there because Disneyland goes through so many changes, take things out, add things in all the time. It happens all the time. But I didn't really give much thought about it after that. But I think the first time I actually remember hearing about it online, I want to say it was in a Justin Scar video. Either that or it was in the Adam the Woo video. I can't remember which one it was. One of those two brought it up. I was like, oh, I remember seeing that post. I remember thinking that, And then I remember it was either the Yesterland website, yesterland.com. I should probably add a link to that or a card to that at some point in this video too. But there was, it's probably in the Yesterland website where I heard about it too. But I remember someone had brought it up and talked about how the Hatbox Ghost used to be there, but it was taken down after like a day or two after cast members had gone through the ride and said it was having issues and stuff like that. So, or something to that effect. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. Sorry about the stuttering, because there are plenty of YouTube videos out there that talk about that, and I'm pretty sure you can research the history about the Hatbox Ghost on other YouTube channels as well. I mean, obviously go to those videos and watch those videos after you get done watching my video. So this may or may not be a popular or unpopular opinion. I mean, The Nightmare Before Christmas, I enjoy it. I don't understand why people are so obsessed with it. And I think it's a perfect overlay for the Haunted Mansion during this time of year. I just personally think that they should probably wait until at least closer to Halloween to set it up. I mean, yeah, when I filmed this, it was towards the beginning of October and of 2022. But I think they had the overlay at the end of August, beginning of September. So honestly, I think they should have probably waited until at least the middle of October to actually open it up, or at least the beginning of October, rather than, you know, so late in the summer before the school year starts. But that's just my own personal opinion. Comment down below if you agree with me or if you disagree with me, or what you think, when you think is a perfect time for how the overlay happen. I mean, because I really am curious about what you think. I do have to say that I think one of the reasons why I like the Haunted Mansion so much, it's definitely top 3 favorite rides for me, is because in real life I enjoy going to cemeteries. I mean, I've had lots of videos on my channel to where I've actually gone to cemeteries and visited famous graves, and I've even done a paranormal investigation with a friend of mine during the right before the pandemic hit. January 2020 is when I actually did that. I'll see if I can find that video and include that down in the description down below. I got a lot of videos I gotta remember to add in here, you know. But when it comes to like paranormal stuff, I'm interested in it, but 9 out of 10 times I don't really believe the evidence that's there. I do believe in an afterlife, but I don't understand why someone would want to waste their afterlife trying to scare someone or trying to move a teacup or move something, you know what I mean? But when it comes to trying to communicate with people, that's something I can understand and get behind, you know what I mean? But I enjoy it. I enjoy stuff like that and trying to be proven wrong, you know what I mean? All right, so now we're coming up to another one of those videos I was telling you about that I filmed but did not come out so well because it was dark and everything. I do have to say that this footage is from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, another one of my all-time favorite rides. And I just needed to share. Here's the Blue Bayou restaurant. I do have to share a pretty funny experience that with this ride. Back in January 2007, when my wife and I were on our honeymoon here, it was January. Not a whole lot of people were going to Disneyland in January, especially in 2007. So when we first got there, we went on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. And I swear we went on that ride. Let's see, we went on, and then we got off. We wanted to go ride that again, so we got off. Then we went back in line again, and we rode the ride again, and we kept on singing the song, "Yo ho, yo ho, a pirate's life." You know, the song that you hear in the ride on and off again. We got on again, and we got back on. It's like, oh, that's such a fun ride. It's so much fun because it was my wife's. At that time, it was my wife's first time on the ride. That we got off, and I guess the people the cast member had heard us talking about that, and so they said the line, there was like literally nobody in line at the time. And I guess the cast member had heard us talking about how much fun the ride was, that she actually let us go ahead and get on the ride again without even having to get off. Because like I said, there was literally no one on the ride or even waiting in line at the time. And I think at this point, it was, I want to say the second movie had just barely came out. The second, I think it's called Dead Men Tell No Tales. So at that time, Davy Jones was, it was actually right after the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie came out. Because when we were on this ride that time in 2007, they had like a waterfall, like a misty waterfall coming down, and you had like a projection of Davy Jones coming off of that waterfall, and it was just awesome. It was so much fun, and we actually did the same thing with Splash Mountain, but it was a slightly different experience at the time. We went on the ride, we got off the ride, just to get back in line again, because there was like nobody in line. So we went back into the line again, we got back on and rode it a second time. But after that time, we asked the cast member if we could stay on, because that's what they let us do at Pirates of the Caribbean. But unfortunately, the cast member told us that we had to get off and let other people get in line, because they said that the line was starting to get a little long. So we're like, okay, it's all right. But we wanted to test that theory. So here's how it went afterwards. And it says, who's that?
Anna.
Anna, that's right, huh? Sorry, I had to do a little quick pause for that. But so we got off after the second time, and we wanted to test the theory of what the cast member was saying. Because we saw a couple of people waiting to get on the ride. But so we got off, and what we did is we went all the way back to the beginning of the line, and they were right. This time we probably had to wait 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, 10 or 15 minutes is not that big of a deal, really. Long run of things, it wasn't that big a deal. So it's kind of like, so what? 10 or 15 minutes, not that much. But, you know what? Okay, it's fine. We'll go on some other time. I do remember that the next day after that, it was a different cast member. We probably went on Splash Mountain like 5 times in a row without having to get off. So it was just an absolute blast that they were able to do that for us. All right, so here's something I want to say about the Disneyland Railroad. Again, disclaimer, this could be something you may agree with me about, maybe something you disagree with me about, and either way, it's A-okay. So the Disneyland Railroad has basically gone through no major renovations whatsoever, with the exception of that one year where they gave Disneyland Railroad the first time it ever turned left in its history. That recent renovation, basically, is probably the last and only major renovation there was. And honestly, I don't think they should really make any other major renovation to it outside of maybe one minor little thing. There's a little part of the Disneyland Railroad where you go through and you see like the dinosaur diorama. What I would like to see for them to do with that is maybe give it like some minor modifications, like update the animatronic dinosaurs, but keep the backdrop alone. I'll leave it alone to a point, because I think the backdrop looks amazing with all the lighting and all that stuff. But update the animatronics for the dinosaurs, and maybe add on to the background, like give it a little bit more animation. I don't know. Other than that, I don't think the railroad needs any sort of like modification or update whatsoever, because it's a classic ride, a classic Disneyland ride that you don't really want to touch. You know what I mean? I think that's what you should do. All right, so now I want to talk about the Turtle Crush, or Turtle Talk with Crush. To me, this is a new attraction, because when I was here in 2007, I don't remember it being here. And if it was there, then I must have missed it. But I just thought that this was an amazing thing to do for the kids, and maybe be able to have the kids talk to one of their favorite Disney characters. Because let's face it, Crush is probably one of the best Disney characters there are, and he's only in the movies for such a short amount of time, in both movies actually. But it's still fun to see that they can interact with someone. Obviously, it's someone using a microphone in the background talking to them and listening in and responding back to their questions in person. But honestly, I think this is a fun, great idea for them to be able to talk to the character. It's just awesome. I mean, is it the original voice actor for the show or for the character? I don't know. I don't think it is. Otherwise, he's making a nice, good paycheck from Disney, and he's probably already making a decent sized paycheck from his voice roles from both Finding Dory and Finding Nemo. But I don't know how that all works, so I guess it is. I guess it is what it is. You know what I mean? So I do doing a little bit of reflection on some of this video that you're seeing right now on the screen. If I recall correctly, this is actually our last day at Disney's California Adventure. I do believe that this is actually the day before we went. I do believe that this is the day before we went to the La Brea Tar Pits. Sorry, my daughter's in the background. I do believe that this is the last day we were in DCA. And then as a matter of fact, I think if I can remember correctly, we went part of the day at DCA and part of the day at Disneyland, just because it was gonna be our last day in Anaheim, and we were staying at the Homewood Suites. I have a little bit of footage at some point in this video. If we've already overlooked it, it'll be at the very end of the video. I did a little video tour of the room we were in. If we haven't gone through that, I think that's the very end of the video, but we'll go ahead and take a look at it then. So you'll see some more of our DCA footage, and then you'll see some of our Disneyland footage from the last day. And our actually full last day in California, we spent in Los Angeles, spent in Hollywood. I have footage of that, but I did not include that into this video because I wanted to record it, but I filmed a lot of it with my hand sticking out the window. I had my GoPro sticking out the window, so I caught a lot of wind noise, and I didn't really catch any of the narration from the tour guide or anything like that. So I did not include that in this video. And I don't remember what we were looking at, whose famous house we were looking at, because we were in Hollywood, we were in Los Angeles. We went to the La Brea Tar Pits. Again, if I haven't added a card for that video in this video yet, I'll add it here. And if I forget to do that when I do my final edits online, I'm going to at least have that, the link to that video down in the description box down below, so that way you can go check that out. Anyways, on this day, we were just kind of taking it easy. I was spending some time with my dad. I'm very close with both of my parents. I've just been very close to my dad too. Love you, Mom, and think highly of you. I'm obviously close to my dad. I feel like I'm digging myself into a ditch right here because I don't love either one of my parents more than the other. I spent a lot of my time as a child with my mom, so we had a lot of that close bond there. With my dad, he's the one who actually kind of got me interested in, famous graves and cemeteries and stuff like that. So whenever it comes to trips and stuff like this, like at Disneyland and stuff like that, he's the one I usually talk to about this kind of thing. So we spent a good chunk of that day letting everybody else go on the rides, and I would sit there and just kind of talk to him about, I remember when this used to be that and how we used to do this and stuff like that. Nostalgic stuff I talked to my dad about, that kind of thing. With my mom, obviously there's some nostalgia. She doesn't talk as much about it as my dad. Well, she does, but it's more family related stuff. And obviously a whole bunch of this Disneyland stuff is family related stuff for us. So she got into parts of the conversation. But it's like, we would specifically talk about the trip that my dad and I took in the 2002. September 2002, we took a trip to Disneyland. Me, my dad, my little brother, a neighbor of ours, a cousin, and then just like a friend of ours. We all took a random 2-day trip to Disneyland, and we were talking about that trip and stuff like that. And also, one of the things I remember about one of our prior trips to Disneyland, I remember I was with my Oma, my Dutch grandmother. We call her Oma because Oma is Dutch for grandmother. We were on a trip to Disneyland. We were sitting on the rivers of America. I forget what everybody else was doing. I think they were sitting in the Golden Horseshoe Review. Anyways, my Oma and I were sitting on the banks of the rivers of America. We were just sitting there just talking, and there was a bird that came down and like grabbed the duckling, and I remember the duckling, the mama duck was like getting all like whack whack whack, like being really loud and obnoxious. We're like, what the heck is going on over there? We looked down and we saw that there was another bird eating one of her ducklings. We're like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And I don't know why that stuck in my brain for so long, but that's just like a memory I have of being at the park with my grandma. I mean, I have a lot more memories of being at the park with my grandmother, with my Oma, but for some reason that is specifically one memory that I do have. And I know that nobody else will remember because that's like something I have with my Oma, because that was something that I had only experienced with my Oma and nobody else at the time. I got a lot of memories like that with my dad, a lot of memories like that with mom, a lot of them together. I think that's part of the reason why I hold Disneyland so special to me, hold it close to my heart, because I have a lot of core memories going to the theme parks with my parents, my siblings, cousins, friends. I have a lot of core memories and stuff like that, and that's probably why I hold the park so special to and near and dear to my heart. Now I do have to talk about the footage you're seeing on the screen right now. This is the first time I had ever been to Galaxy's Edge. I'm not particularly a Star Wars fan. I'll watch because I think they're fun to watch. It's like, you know, there are a lot of people out there in the world who are like complete avid Star Wars fans. I guess you can say my wife is one of them. She loves Star Wars and kind of grew up watching those. I wasn't that way, but like I do appreciate how fun they are. I do enjoy the Star Wars movies. I do enjoy watching them. But a lot of people out there are like complete and utter all about Star Wars and that life and stuff like that. That's me with Marvel, and that's why I loved Marvel's Avengers Campus so much. But walking through, sorry, I'm doing some things in the background. But walking through Galaxy's Edge like this, it was just amazing. I was just like, wow. I was like, this place is amazing. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, it was just an amazing experience. It was so much fun. Smuggler's Run, that was a fun ride. But Rise of the Resistance, I do have to say that I think Rise of the Resistance is probably my all-time favorite Disneyland ride. It was just so much fun. It was just so awesome. It was an amazing thing to experience for the first time. I was like, wow, I was blown away. This is just amazing. And, you know, like I said, especially for someone who's like me, who's not like a huge Star Wars fan, but enjoys the movies. I have nothing against Star Wars. It's not usually my go-to film franchise. For me, it's Marvel. But seeing all this Galaxy's Edge stuff here, and just seeing all of the Star Wars themed stuff, it was just so much fun, and it was just so awesome. Alright, so we are actually, unfortunately, we are nearing the end of this video. I would like to thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey to Disneyland. I love Disneyland. I always have. I'm not a Disneyland vlogger or anything like that, but I really appreciate the love and support. If you can go down and go check out the Patreon link that I have provided down below, and also with Venmo, help support this channel. That'd be really great. I'm hoping that I can someday go in the future and be able to go back to Disneyland and do more Disney videos like this, and kind of do like a more in-depth video about some of the rides we talked about in today's video, some of the former attractions. I would love to eventually someday do that. And I really do appreciate and thank you all for watching today's video, and leaving comments down below about your experiences, what you think should happen, and just being able to be a part of today's video. Thank you. I really sincerely thank you for all of that. And if you are new to the channel, I know that a lot of people who watch my videos are not subscribed to my channel. If you can do so, but if you can go down below and actually subscribe to my channel, that'd be much appreciated. I would really appreciate it if you could do that. And then hit that notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. I would also greatly appreciate that. Also, don't forget to give this video a like. Give it a thumbs up. I appreciate the thumbs up, because that tells me you care. And even if you give this video a dislike, like if you think it's too long or too boring, whatever floats your boat, that would also help me better my content in the future too, because I want to know what you think. Anyways, don't forget to check out the links down below because that would also appreciate. I would appreciate that too. Now I would also thank you for helping out with that, and helping out my other social media, and also helping out my dad too. Anyways, thank you again for watching. I hope that I can do this sometime in the future. And again, I cannot thank you enough so I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Everybody watching has to subscribe. Subscribing is cool. Thanks.